Come
Hold
on,
on.
Dad.
Rosalinda, are you feeling really defeated right now?
Ooh, master my mind. I just remember laughing because he's like, I just tell my body that it's not ticklish. I've mastered my mind. Being the ability to not be ticklish, but yeah, you could never tickle him because that was like his one show off of I've got control of this.
Greetings and salutations, Earthlings. I'm Teresa Zube, and we are here with the Teresa Zube Show and my
Woo
co
woo.
star, Rosalinda, here to bring you the bullshit and the brilliance in the stars today. So, okay, Rosalinda, you have something to share with me.
Yeah, so I am seeking some guidance from you this morning. Um, I think I heard from my dad yesterday pretty loud and clear. I went and presented on Day of the Dead and the Magic Treehouse show at a Networking for Women event, and it was to highlight the Day of the Dead that's coming up that Green Rose Productions always puts on every year. It's our flagship event. And I lit a candle at the beginning and asked for all the ancestors to be there in the room with us. A very beautiful group of women in a very fancy restaurant with very fancy food. It's a magical room of mirrors as well. I forgot it's covered in mirrors and chandeliers and art deco. Mm. So I presented about Day of the Dead uh, and people were actually asking questions. What is it? Why do people celebrate this? Why is it a thing? Why are we talking about death? As much as I love Day of the Dead and have watched Coco and Book of Life, I I forget that other people aren't so familiar with the holiday. So I explained that it's about celebrating those that we have lost because they're not really gone; they're just somewhere else. Which I think in the Judeo-Christian belief, that's probably I don't know. I think that's taboo to not talk about heaven. What do you think?
Well, so you mean people talk about going to heaven, but they don't talk about the reality of like spirits still being able to like communicate with us, or maybe they're just somewhere another dimension. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that topic sometimes can feel scary for people, and I realize that. So I try to communicate that I've never been to the Day of the Dead in Mexico. So this is a very Central Valley twist. It's how we want to celebrate life, how we want to mourn together, celebrate those that we've lost, celebrate their legacies. And, it's a great time for healing together as a community using art and people with disabilities. And the mix is always makes it more fun. So, my dad showed up and other people's family members showed up. There was a lady at the beginning of the luncheon. She's like, "Oh, I'm not that spiritual." Um, but I was standing at my friend's grave and I asked for a bird to show up and a blue jay came swooping in and landed in the tree. And then I asked if that's really you because she was giggling at herself, then come closer. And the blue jay flew and landed on the tombstone. So I think there are so many, being on the cemetery board, there's so many examples of that kind of stuff. To me, it's normal now. Like, well, yeah, the spirits communicate with us. You just have to stop and pay attention. So for me, it's more destigmatized than it is for this group of people, of ladies that I was presenting to. So I told them we're gonna have sound healing, and the Aztec dancers are coming, and I'm performing, and um, so I heard from this lady to my right, a very beautiful Hispanic lady. She said, um, "Oh, I shared about my dad. I shared that part of why I do Green Rose is because of my father and trying to infuse what he brought into my life out into the world. He loved plants, he loved green, He loved laughing, he loved theater, he loved singing, so I wanna do that in honor of of him. So I shared that, and then this lady at the end of the presentation, she said, "I've met your father. I didn't know it was him, I didn't know it was he was passed, but I met him at the creative center that the school you taught at, and he had nothing but wonderful things to say about his daughter, how proud he was of you, and he just was shining bright in being so proud of you and what you do." And she said, "Actually, the last time I saw my dad was in this restaurant, at the Vintage Press, and my dad also passed in 2018." So we both got a little bit emotional, and then shared with the room the last time I saw my dad was at the Visalia Cemetery. So that's why that place draws me so much as place I last place I saw him alive. So I think the room kind of felt like, "Well, that's weird." Um,
Yeah.
and that was her first time to this meeting ever. This was her first time to this networking event. So that was kind of cool. And then another lady in the back was like, "I met your dad at the county courthouse. We happened to be in line together, and he noticed my Redwood High School sweatshirt, and asked if I knew you. And he had nothing but amazing things to say about you and how proud he was of you. And I knew your brother. I didn't know you at high school, but I always wondered who you were, and here you are." So I felt, to me, that was confirmation that my dad had shown up in the room, and I felt like it was confirmation that the ladies in the room saw that as well.
Yeah.
So we are moving forward into Day of the Dead. I'm calling you because I want help from the Teresa Show, from Teresa herself. Like, was this? Can I get confirmation that that was my dad? And how do we best move forward with Day of the Dead? What's the best way to celebrate this coming November 1st?
Okay. First of all, and I'll pull some cards. Um, that I love that's like spirit showing up in real time, you know? I believe like all the synchronicities of those people showing your dad or, talking about your dad. And I think it's so normal to question. It's sort of the meme of like, can I have a signier sign? You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
like the girl who or, the woman who was like, "If that's really you, can you come a little bit closer?" And I
Right.
wanna talk about that a little bit, and then I can totally pull cards and see what comes out. Um, after Eric died, I was talking to my mom, and it had been, like, 6 or 7 months, and my mom was talking to me about how she was upset because she felt like she hadn't gotten any signs, which is understandable because also, I sometimes your vibration's too low. Like, I hate that language, but it is
Right.
sort of accurate. Like, she wasn't in a place to see them. And and I was like, "Mom, I'm like, it's something simple, but usually people talk themselves out of it, you know?" And we were driving home and I looked down and I go, "Oh my gosh, I had a purse with a feather stuck to it, like a little tiny feather." And, I go, "Oh my god, mom, there's a feather stuck on my purse right now." And she goes, "Oh, how did that get there?" And she brushed it off. And I go, "No, no, no, mom, that's exactly what I'm like, "That's Eric." Like, he's, showing up saying it's just a little thing. And I felt like that was an in real time way to show her, that's just how they show up. And you could, but I hate saying like you miss it or whatever, because then
Right.
more will show up, you know?
Right.
Um,
And what was I gonna say? Shoot. Yeah, you're right. You just have to be paying attention. And it's easier for the spirits to move a little feather, I think, than to drop over an armoire in your kitchen.
yeah,
And you
exactly.
wouldn't
I
want
mean,
that anyways.
right. Because, well, and, I know you and I, like, yes, I believe in heaven. Also, at the same time, I think my conception of it is a little different as just being other dimensional,
Right.
And so, Uh, I I, um, I think it does require energy of our past loved ones to make effective change in this realm, you know? So,
Which is
yeah,
why
a little
you give them
feather.
offerings too to make them
Huh?
stronger, but that's
Mhm.
also a weird word for people,
Yeah,
offerings.
offerings. Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, so I wanna pull a card on your dad, well, and on Day of the Dead. So we got the King of Swords.
Well
I wanna ask
done.
just because, when is your dad's birthday? Sometimes tarot lines up with astrology, but not
November
always.
3rd. He's a
Okay.
Scorpio.
He's a Scorpio. Okay. Well, I mean, the King of Swords would be an air sign, but the King of Swords speaks. You know what I mean? So to me, that feels like more confirmation, um, especially because air has to do with the quality of speaking. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to pull some cards on Day of the Dead for you. So we have the Eight of Swords.
Whoa, interesting.
He might be telling you you're stuck in your head.
I'm stressed the fudge out, man.
Yeah. The Eight of Swords can also be like where it's where we get to feeling like, oh, nothing ever works out for me. Um, and so I don't want to end your dad on that note. Let's see.
Come
Hold
on,
on.
Dad.
I know, right? Oh, Rosalinda, are you feeling really defeated right now?
Let me
Or
see.
are you feeling, here I am
Tired.
trying, yeah, here I am trying to get a better card. And we got the Five of Pentacles and the Ten of Swords. So
I I got the 5 today myself.
yeah, I mean, the Five of Pentacles is, fear of basically, like, material, wealth or
Yeah, I
being
feel like I'm
provided
not
for
gonna be
materially.
able to pay for this thing as always. I hate
Yeah.
fundraising and asking people for money, and then yesterday during the presentation, I meant to ask people like, "Hey, if you know people who would like to fund this, please let me know."
I
But
mean, it's such an incredible program, and it's not you I mean, you're asking people to donate for, like, people with disabilities to perform in a show, right? I mean,
yeah, they're
to
definitely part of it. I mean, there's other professional well, they're
yeah.
professionals too. I mean, they're
Yeah.
professionals, they get paid for their work, so I do need to pay them, and that's part of why I
Yep.
raise money, so
Yep.
they can feel independent.
Yeah, and so it's for the benefit of, a whole group of people.
It
But
is, and then we just keep swirling the money within our own community. If people give it to me, I'm gonna give it to the cemetery. The cemetery
mhm,
is gonna give it back to the landscaping that gives it back to the people that come visit, which in turn is us. So
mhm,
let's just keep it circulating. But yes, I'm
mhm,
stressed. I'm very, very,
yeah,
as always.
because the Ten of Swords is tired, exhausted. So if anything, I think your dad is maybe a little bit worried about you. Did he always have more confidence in your abilities than you did?
He always helped me.
Yeah, yeah,
He was always by my
um,
side doing all the shenanigans.
yeah. Well, here's the card we're ending on.
King of Swords and Queen of Swords.
And
Okay.
the Queen of Swords, I mean, that's a divine counterpart. So I think this is really talking about like mastery of your mind. But I think it's funny that we started with the King of Swords, which is the masculine card. And and then ending on the Queen of Swords. So it's like he's conferring his mastery of thought to you, you know. Obviously, it's a lot easier to have a clearer picture when you're not on Earth anymore. 'Cause
He
I
always he always used to tell me, yeah, to master my mind because I would try to tickle him always, and he would never be ticklish. And I just remember laughing because he's like, I just tell my body that it's not ticklish. I've mastered my mind. So I always thought that that was
wow.
something funny that he used to say because I can't imagine ever mastering being the ability to not be ticklish. But yeah, you could never tickle him because that was like his one show off of I've got control of this.
Yeah. Well, see,
Anyways,
that's funny. I mean, mastering your mind for me to use that phrase specifically when
yeah,
something personal to you To me, that feels like even further validation that he really is showing up. Um, Let me pull cards on advice. Do we want, yeah, we're just going to pull advice on the Day
How to
of the
master my
Dead.
mind for Day of the Dead.
I know. Let's do Day of the Dead first.
Okay.
Interesting. The Page of Swords.
I've
This
also
is,
drawn that for myself. Like, I better ask Teresa what this all means.
I mean, clearly they're talking about the sword. So, I mean, the element of air, the element of your mind, your communication, your words. Um, I think it's important to consider the message you're telling yourself about promoting your organization,
Mm,
because that's what we were talking about. A lot of what I do is sort of remembering. That's why being present and in the now is really helpful to me because I really ingest like I'm not perfect about it by any stretch, but when I'm doing a reading, I'm really good at, hold on, what were we just talking about right now when I pulled that card? But you were saying how it's so hard to ask for people to donate to your organization. And that's probably left over from this like selfishness that we're made to feel so ashamed of growing up, you know? It's the same as it used to be really hard, but even with tarot and all of that, sometimes it's hard for me to ask for payment. But it's not, anyway, it's an exchange, but especially for you because yours is a nonprofit organization. Um, anyway, the Page of Swords. We've got the Eight of Swords, the Ten of Swords, the King, the Queen, and the Page. The page is your advice card. And, on the higher perspective, the Page of Swords is curiosity, trust. It's the child. The Page of Swords is also the one who speaks the truth. I always describe it like this. It's like the kid who goes up to somebody and says, like, say one day you go out without makeup or whatever. I'm just thinking of it because you're doing your makeup and you see a kid that usually sees you with makeup on and they say like, why do you look ugly today or something? Like they don't mean it like to hurt your feelings. They're just making an observation. So it doesn't mean that you should go around telling anybody what you really think in a rude fashion. Um, but the Page of Swords represents just having this childlike curiosity, speaking the truth in a tactful way, but like saying and just saying what you need. Because it's a child. Pages are children. So whenever those cards come out, we have to kind of get into that mode. On the flip side, it can be like, gossiping or like being petulant or, childlike with your words. But this is coming out as advice. So to me, this is remembering that you are a child of God or the divine or however you want to look at it and remembering to pray. Um, the Page of Swords writes his or her Christmas list and just knows that Santa's going to bring that. You know what I mean? And so make your wish list. And that feels right. But they're really looking at swords, which is air energy, which is your mind, your words, your communication. How are you talking to yourself? How are you thinking about things? Mm, need a sip. And just to be more trusting, you know,
this is why we call it Teresa Show. She
yeah,
helps iron things out.
and to speak your truth. So I wanted to pull another card. We got the Nine of Wands,
Que
and
la. Everybody's
the
tired or
I know.
fighting.
Well, and the Nine of Wands this is don't quit before the miracle happens. That's kind of how I always look at this card, unless you're really done with something. But this is like that hang in there element. He is the like wounded warrior, but he's still ready to go. Also, the not the wands behind him represent battles that he's been through. And nines are completion And then the 10 of Wands is even further completion, specifically when it's talking about like, your Green Rose Productions and the Day of the Dead. This is like, hang in there. Things,
Put a
yeah, like
patch on your head.
put a patch on your head, wear your bandana, you know, keep going.
Coffee.
Yummy. So, do we, let's ask your dad how you manage your mind. Five of Swords. We're getting another Swords one. The Five of Swords is like second thoughts, second guessing yourself, inner conflict, looking back, wondering if you made a mi- did made the wrong choice, did the wrong
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Also managing conflict in your life, looking back at people. Should I have done this with that? Should I have done that with that? How do
That's
you,
been all this week.
yeah, has it?
Yeah.
Rosalinda, this is like literally bizarre. So, how do you master your mind? Well, the Knight of Swords and the Three of Cups.
This is this is talking about work.
Is it?
Yeah. Don't put
So,
my work stuff on blast. I want dad.
your dad says, I'll do what I want.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of funny. I don't know. The Knight of Swords the Knight of Swords like knows you didn't put your makeup on, and it's like, oh, you look like shit. Anyway, but like the Knight of Swords is a teenager. So like the page is children, the queen is a woman, the king is a man. The knights represent like teenager energy.
Okay.
But the Three of Cups. So when we're talking about mastering your mind, so the Page of Wands is coming out first, or no, the Page of Swords is coming out first. So you're wanting to speak your truth, be innocent, etc., be trusting, be curious. But then upon further explanation, the Knight of Swords would represent like if you know something and something needs to be said, then you say it. Like you even them's fighting words. Does that sound like something your dad would say or no? Okay, because
Yes.
that just came in. Okay, because see, I'm learning to trust things here too. I never say that. And that came in here
I
like
say that because my dad
okay.
says that because
Okay.
he was an old timer. Like he was Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kids and
Okay,
yeah.
them's fighting words. I never use that phrase, and it came into my head, and I was
I
like,
love
I've
it.
been getting things where I'm like, that's not me. Anyway, it's not me or my guides. Like they don't talk like that. We're hippies. We're more like anyway, um, then the Three of Cups. This can be third party interference, or this is kind of can be
Mm.
tip and stuff like that. On the higher aspect, it's co-creating and working together, but with people that you emotionally connect to, with people that you trust and all that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And sometimes when I'm doing a reading, or especially because this is like in public, things might resonate for you in a way that maybe you'll share with me later. Or, sometimes people will call me and be like, oh my God, you're not going to believe this. That's happened a couple times recently too, where they're like, oh, that reading you did for me 6 months ago. I'm like, "Oh, no way!" Because at the time was like, nobody knew what the card was about. I mean, although I did, but I didn't know I knew.
Right. But them's fighting words. I gotta be careful of the words that I say
Mhm.
because I could start fights and gossip
So,
and
are you telling me that, or are you
I'm
asking for
asking
clarification? Okay.
clarification.
Here's where I am picking up. The Page of Swords came out as well as the Knight of Swords, and the initial cards were talking about mastery. Part of mastery is recognizing that there are like we are the adult. So we're everything. You are everything in this situation. You are your own masculine, your own feminine, your own knight, and your own page, right? Okay, so this is about you being fully embodied and integrated. That's mastery of your mind. And
Ah,
so with your internal, feminine mother, whatever, of your inner child, you know when it's appropriate for that child to speak their mind or to be the teenager. So what it's saying is that if something is really important to say, then you say it, but you have all of your, like, you have to integrate within yourself when it's the appropriate time to speak up. Don't go blasting off or, but if somebody is, is taking advantage, or if there's really a situation where like your inner child has is afraid, and then the teenager is allowed to be let out.
Okay, that's
Does
great
that make
advice.
sense?
It makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
Okay. Okay.
I wish I could publicly explain the
It's
context
okay.
behind, but trust in the audience. Please know that this is very apropos and helpful information
And your dad
for
went there right here. Your dad was like
yeah.
calling you out. Anyway.
Well, I heard yesterday, um, after my presentation, like, "Mija, you could have asked the room for help with funding. Why didn't you just say that?" I heard his voice.
Wow.
And I'm like, gosh damn, because I like it didn't feel appropriate. Everybody's having a nice lunch, and who wants to be asked by another nonprofit for more money, especially in the state of California? I feel like we're bleeding out of the eyeballs with money siphoned from us. So it just feels
Mhm.
like we're having a hard time supplementing our own communities just because we are continuously overtaxed and overburdened by our government. So there is my my call to action for us here is pray and celebrate the ancestors so they can help us because we need a lot of help here. This district is very poor and we're always worried about water a- and oh, I don't if we could pull one more card on our storm for the Central
Yeah.
Valley, a card because we had a gnarly storm. So I want to know if the Sea Witch is coming back this year.
I got the 4 of
Oh,
Wands, the
interesting.
4 of Wands is a homecoming, a celebration. Like, I describe it as like a housewarming. The fours always represent building a foundation, and this is a foundation in the element of fire. Fire is spirit, action, creativity, also heart energy. So anything that this is building a foundation for something that is heart based, that you feel strongly about in your heart. So the Sea Witch is the production that you had done, right?
Yeah, we did a production, and I told the group yesterday that our logo, the Green Rose Productions logo, is a green rose because that is a color of the heart chakra. And I really want to focus on doing the nonprofit from our hearts because then you can remember why you're even doing this stuff in the first place because it's hard. It's hard work and it can get messy, especially when money's involved. So if we remember to do it from our hearts, including for our board members, to our artists, to our events, like we're supposed to be doing it very heart centered. So I think that's an appropriate message because our Revenge of the Sea Witch was about the Tule Lake, this lake in Central Valley that had disappeared. Actually, the entire Central Valley of California, like the entire basin, used to be a ginormous lake. I don't know how many thousands of years ago. And then it kind of shrunk, and then we were left with this thing called the Tule Lake in our area. And it showed up a couple years ago. I had never known it even existed until it showed back up. Like we had so much snowpack that it
Wow.
created a lake in the valley once it got warm and it melted. So, like, there's a contingency of us here in the valley that want that lake back because it brings so much moisture and then it brings like good weather and birds and it also cooled down the valley. We're like 117 in the summertime, but with that lake it felt like breezes would pick up and you could feel it. So
Mhm.
we want that. That was my message in the Revenge of the Sea Witch, and I feel like that lake might be returning again because I think nature wants it there, but
Wow.
we keep draining it.
Okay. Oh, they keep draining it?
Yep,
What the heck?
they
Okay.
keep
I don't
draining it.
understand. I don't know. Well, I want to pull one of these Divine Animals Oracle.
Was that
So,
boring Central Valley history?
no, actually, that was actually really interesting. I just don't understand why they would drain it.
Because, oh, I'm not I love my life because there's farmers that own that basin.
Okay, so it gets complicated with okay.
Do you want ketchup? You better be okay with them growing tomatoes in that exact basin.
Okay, it's the tomato basin.
It's the tomato sauce basin.
Um, so we got Raven, which is number 23, and it means news. So you should be getting news.
Interesting. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, let me see. Raven?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. 23, that's my number.
Oh yeah. That's right. 23 is your birthday, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Um with the reading is there like the news card means that you will be getting more information. And it's strange too because that's another communication thing. Like this is all about like mental. It's mental. That's kind of where I'm going with it. Everything seems to be words, communication, information, and that's a sticky realm. I mean, in
It's so sticky because I feel
yeah,
like I'm too direct with people and they get mad. I'm like, I hang around with people who are autistic. Maybe I'm autistic. Like I'm not being rude. I'm just being honest, truthful, direct.
real.
I don't have a lot of fluff around stuff sometimes, and I don't even mean to be rude.
I
Or
mean,
is
with
that me being a Leo and thinking everything centers around me, so I don't care what people think? I don't know.
with that in context, there is an element of you just be you. I mean, if
But that gets me in
people,
trouble.
yeah, I mean, yeah, because I haven't really heard the entire story, so I don't know where this is, what's like in the details. And but I think it's like sussing out the difference between, how can I say this in an innocent way and a truthful and curious way? That's it. Curiosity versus instigation. So the Knight of Swords would instigate. And maybe that's what these cards were talking about. So like the 3 of the 3 of cups can go one way or another. This is third party interference or, people gossip, or it could be celebration and, really emotionally connecting with people. The Knight of Swords is in general, this is more like um being an
You call it the
instigator.
asshole card.
I do. I don't like this card, but sometimes it comes out for good things. It's because it's usually the jerky boyfriend or somebody being a dick. But this card is curious. So maybe what would be helpful to you with whatever the exact situation is how can I focus on curiosity as opposed to just saying something to instigate isn't even the word that I'm looking for. Provocative. Like the night is just provocative for whatever reason, like
Okay.
provoking. Yeah.
Well, this house of green rose because the things I talk about sometimes are provoking. Yesterday, I felt bad for ladies that maybe didn't want to hear about Day of the Dead and some of the things that I went into in deeper detail. Like I could tell sometimes it makes people uncomfortable, and they didn't choose to click on that thumbnail for the day.
Uh,
So, with that and work, master my mind and refocus on being curious instead of an asshole
yeah,
is what I
basically.
sum up.
Basically. And not everybody's gonna want to hear about this stuff. Like it's a pretty specific audience. It's the same when people ask me what I do. And
Yeah.
I a lot of times they've heard enough with like when I'll say I work from home. And it's shocking how many people don't, like, inquire
Follow up.
further. Yeah. "Oh, okay." Like, yeah, so you just do some nonsense on a laptop, which is like, "Well, yeah, kinda, I guess." Anyway, um, but yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody, and that's okay because people can hear about things that aren't for them.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's not
Right.
our job to make sure that, like, our lives are, and what we do are approved by other people, and I'm saying this to you as I'm saying it to myself, to be honest.
And I think that's a big reason for your show.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, because it's super cool because the thing of getting confirmations and there are different levels to it. I have been getting words in my head like that. And I was doing a reading the other day, and I'm pulling out these cards, and it was a grandfather because she had talked about like her, grandfather or whatever. And this is not going to betray anybody's confidence. It's the only reason I feel comfortable saying it. And during the reading, I heard, um, I heard she needs to dump him. And and I was like, that's not how I talk to people. I don't tell people what to do in readings. And, and so I asked her, and then there was an indication of like that this is what my grandfather would say. And I'm like, "Oh, as a matter of fact, I think they did." Um, but we ask our guides and angels for advice because whether that was true or not, or, um, our relatives remain our relatives and this is why when we were talking about setting up an ancestors altar, you want ones who want the best for you, but also you don't always they will still try to be meddlesome and give their 2 cents, and that's not always entirely helpful, just like it's not in real life, you know? But anyway, but it was confirmation for, this person that like what was going on was real because I'm like, "That's not how I talk. That's not
Right.
how my guides talk." And so when it came up, but I didn't trust it, and that's
Well,
how this stuff
your
works.
mediumship is getting stronger.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder why it's men so far, 'cause and my
Hmm.
brother. Oh, bit because I've heard from my brother. I finally believe that, but anyway.
Hmm.
Well, this was wonderful. Thank you, Rosalinda, and, thank you everyone who watched. Please like and subscribe if you have any questions. We would be happy to hear them, answer them, so you can message me or whatever. And, thank you. And again, check out Rosalinda on Green Rose Productions.
Peace out.
Bye.